for all the homework, I will announce it, and you will have at least 4 to 5 days to finish, and the extension, the deadline will not be extended. Okay, so if you miss that one, then you just lost credit of that homework. Okay, so please keep up all the My Econ Lab homework. It's fairly easy. You should get about 90%. For all of them. Okay, so today we're going to finish chapter 1. So you should. I will assign homework today on chapter 1, and it will be due on Saturday. Okay, so from today to Saturday, I've got 4 5 days to do. Okay, so again, make sure you don't start the last minute. Okay, as I just mentioned, we're going to have homework on chapter 1 that will be due on Saturday, and I will assign it today. Okay. Any other questions?
So are you pushing the date back to?
Yes, I will. Don't just ignore the dates.
Okay.
Because those dates I copied from online course. Online course, I'm teaching, this course online, so the dates for that course is different. Okay, just ignore all those.
Hey, I just got in this class Friday. My name's not on here yet. You want me to just sign it at the bottom?
Yes, please.
So there was, you said the last one was the first one.
Yes, it's called getting what? Getting, My Econ Lab? No, that was only one. It was only homework assigned so far.
But I thought the other one was homework, so.
Okay, all right. So far I signed one homework. That one homework was due on Saturday. It was about how to use My Econ Lab. Okay, and then I'm gonna sign another one, which is on chapter 1. And it's
That's the
going
one
to
I
be,
ended up doing.
it's good. Before Saturday, you have to do it before Saturday, the new one. Okay, so for the old one, I'm going to, so you're talking about the very first one, right? When it's going to due. I'll give you, so today's Wednesday, that will be due on Friday. Okay, so if you miss that one, you will have until Friday to finish that. Okay? Listen to me?
Cause that had be one. But you say you didn't sign it, so I'm gonna do it.
Okay, so 2 homeworks. Okay, 2 homeworks. One is called, I think it's probably easier. Let me.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to redo it since you already did it.
Let me just open it up.
Cause the grade is already in.
Yeah, if you have done it, of course you're not going to redo it. You don't need to. The grade is already there. That's right. Yeah. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's pretty.
Oh, then you don't need to worry about it. Okay. Questions?
I just ordered this. This the right book? I think it is. It looked the same. It's just green.
You got macro.
Oh, yeah.
You can change the name, probably.
Well, damn.
All right. Any other question? Any other question? All right. So today we're going to finish chapter 1. Okay, we're going to finish chapter 1, and I'm going to go over, review the concept we learned the last class. So what are the key concepts we learned last class? Opportunity cost, marginalism, marginal cost. What else? Sunk cost, right? Okay, so can anyone tell me what are opportunity cost? What opportunity cost the measure and describe?
It's the next best alternative to what you're doing.
Okay, good. Okay, how about marginalism? What is marginalism?
Analyzing the additional or incremental costs or benefits arising from a choice.
That's right, okay? And then we talk about sunk cost. What are sunk costs?
Something that can't be avoided.
Can't get it back.
Can't recuperate.
That cost has already happened.
And it cannot be avoided, and from a future action, right? Okay, so among these 3 costs, what are the costs that directly arise from action, directly caused by the action, and we are talking about? Among these 3 costs, what are the costs that directly arise from action or decision? Opportunity cost, okay, arise from action, right? Okay, and then if I don't come to the class, or I'll come to the class, then there's something you have to give up. It's directly come out of this action that you're sitting here, right? Okay, and what the other ones that also directly linked to the action,
Sunk cost?
directly linked to action.
Marginally.
Marginal cost. Okay, marginal cost is directly into action. I'm gonna produce one more unit. In order to produce that one more unit, I need to buy raw materials. I need to use electricity, water. I need to give a worker, overtime pay. Okay, so those costs are directly linked to this action of producing one more unit, and thus they are considered as marginal cost. How about sunk cost? Do sunk cost directly linked to action?
No.
No, it actually is. It's not associated with action. It's something have already happened at the very beginning, and it cannot be avoided, no matter what you do in the future. Okay, so that's the difference. Sunk cost, nothing to do with future action. A marginal cost and opportunity cost. Right? And I remember last class, a couple of you, raised a very good question, and we deepened, and our understanding by reading those questions. Okay, so any other question or thoughts on those concepts? Everybody is very clear on that? Okay, good. Now I'm going to tell you observation, and I want you to use what you learned from them to give me an explanation. Okay. I do want to enforce the class time is 1:25. Okay, I want to mention this one more time because we talk about externality, negative externality, right? When you come to the class late, that does interrupt everyone. So make sure and try your best to be here on time. Okay. All right. So I've been teaching for now almost 10 years. All right, and can you guess what is the average grade for this class? ECM 2020. What is the average grade?
SE?
Give me a percentage. Give me a percentage. A random percentage.
86. I said 86.
Like 80 to 85.
80 to
75.
75?
86.
Huh?
86.
86. Very good. It's between 75 to 85, around there, the average grade. Okay. Have you ever thought about why it's always like that? Why we never get, we seldom have a class average that is above 90.
That's hard.
You think that's the reason? You think it's hard? You think that's the reason?
Yes.
I can make the exam easy, but I bet you the average is not going to be a whole lot different. I can make it as easy as possible. I bet it's not going to be, still not going to be above 90s. Why is that?
No one studies.
People don't give the effort.
Do you pass classes?
Say it louder.
People don't give the effort.
Why? That's good.
Because they just do enough to get by.
Why? Use something. Now we're learning some economic concept, right? We have learned only 3 economic concepts, but it's enough to understand this observation, this phenomenon. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. People are now willing to put more effort. Why? Why is that? What kind of economic
Because
concept
why do more when you can do less?
you can do less?
And still like, well, you're not getting the same thing, but you're getting enough.
You can do the minimum and still get what you need.
Their priorities are not in this class.
Huh?
Their priorities are not in this class, I guess. I'm guessing they have priorities somewhere else, so then they just kind of.
You guys are really on the right track. Your intuition. Okay.
More smarter, not harsh.
Your intuition are very good. But now, again, what's the purpose of teaching economics? Start putting in the context of economics, right? Okay, so how do I understand this? Let me ask you this, and let me tell you this. For my class, I always tell students, before each exam, midterm or final, if you spend around 5 to 6 hours, before each exam, I think it's highly likely you're gonna get about 70%. 5-6 hours is basically what's required for you to get about 70%. And now let me ask you,
Studying the night or
study
You said 5 or 6 hours per day or per week.
before just one time.
Just crazy.
So you
study,
think like
if you
5
study
hours
one
altogether?
time.
Of course, you have to consistently study the material, doing the homework, review it, right? Then right before the exam day, you want to have this comprehensive, review of everything. I told students, you spend 5 to 6 hours, and it's likely, highly likely, you're going to get about 70%. But of course, this 5-6 hours it can vary, from individual to, but on average, that's about it. Okay? You think it's a lot or it's not enough?
That's too damn.
That's too much.
It's too much.
Just
Okay.
way
much.
too much.
All right,
It
so
depends on how you do it.
okay, listen. I'm using this as exam tool to teach you how to apply economic concept. But not. And you think it's too much? I can tell you for some faculty, it requires 10 hours for you to get about 70%. Okay? All right, so that's a between 5-6 hours, you can get about 70%. Now let me ask you this: if somebody really want to get a good grade,
Said, do I want a good grade?
paying attention to me, okay?
No, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, you
So
cannot hear
You
me?
gotta speak up.
Did I MPT Steve?
No, you just gotta speak up. I'm good.
I got to speak up?
Yeah.
You think I'm not loud enough already? I'm raising my voice already, okay? That's why, I love the discussion and active participation, but when I talk, please be quiet so everybody can hear me, okay? All right? But trust me, I'm raising my voice, okay? All right, so now we're assuming, okay, between 5 to 6 hours, you can get about 70%. Now let me ask you this: if somebody like you, if 70% is not good enough for you, you want to get about 80%. You want to increase 10% in 10%. And let's say for you realize you at least have to spend another 2-3 hours to get to 80%. Okay? Did everybody hear what I said? Okay. She has to spend another 2-3 hours to get to 80%. All right. Now, what if we have somebody you want to get into 90%? 80% is not even enough. Or maybe you want to get into 90%. Then, how many more hours you have to incur? Let's say between 5 to 6 hours, you can get to 70%. Then between 7 to 8 hours, increase 2 to 3 hours, you can get to 80. Now, if you want to get into 90, how many more hours you have to spend to increase from 80% to 90%?
10 plus.
10 or 12 hours.
To increase. Everybody understand my question? Or should I repeat my question again? Okay, only one time. Okay, otherwise I'm going to have a bottle of water here. Keep drinking my water, okay? One more time. Okay, let's just use her example. Let's say somebody like her needs to spend 5 to 6 hours to get 70%. Okay? Everybody's clear on that, right? If she wants to get into 80%, increase another 10%, she has to spend another 2-3 hours. All right? Is everybody clear on that? Remember this, okay? Now, she said, no, I really want to do even better. I want to get into 90. I want to get 90% on this exam. This time, how many more hours do you think she has to spend additionally?
Another 2 or 3 hours.
5 to 6.
Do you think she has to spend more than 2 or 3 hours or less than 2 or 3 hours to get from 80% to 90%?
More than.
Do you guys understand my question here? Okay, think about it. To get from 70 to 80%, she had to spend 2-3 more hours. Now she wants to get from 80% to 90%. How many more hours? More than 2-3 hours? Or less than 2-3 hours?
More than
2 or 3.
Same amount.
Just guess. Is there just guess. Use your intuition. Use you what you observe in your life.
Less.
We have more, we have less. Who think it's going to be more this time? It's going to be more than 2-3 hours if get another 10%. And raise your hand. Keep have you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about you? 5, 6, 7. Who think it's gonna spend less than 2-3 hours? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What about the rest of you? What about the rest of you?
Same.
Same. Okay, good. Okay, tell me the reasoning. If you think it's more, tell me the reasoning. If you think it's less, tell me. If you think it's same, and tell me the reasoning. You come, you have done your elementary from, middle and high school. You have done your study, right? Study has been your job, since 6 years old. So you have idea. Okay, how much more time I spend in order to get what, right? Have a rough idea on that. Okay, tell me the reasoning. Why you think it's more? Okay.
Because the more work and time and effort you put in something, the better it comes out.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna agree with the guy in the blue hat. I think it's the same because you said that they went up 10% 2 to 3 hours. So if you do another 2 to 3 hours, the same amount, it's gonna increase 10%.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think it's less because the way that we learn topics, we don't just learn differentiated things, we learn things that are connected through the lesson plan. So when you put more time in, you connect the different pieces that we've been studying from the book and from the lectures that you've been attending. So it takes less and less time to get a better grade.
Okay, it's a very interesting thought. Okay, others? Others? How about some people raise your hand, say more, right? Okay, I want to hear your explanation. Just try it. A few of you will raise your hand already, right? Well, what's the reason?
I was thinking more like maybe because you've already studied so much, and say like you're only going like making this, so that maybe if you study more, which only that helps for me, I guess, to make it go. So
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you guys another question further. Maybe it will give you, that question itself may give you a hint. Now you say, what's your name? Kayla. You Kayla says, I want to be a perfectionist. I can now settle on 90%. I want to get 100%. I want to increase another 10%. But this time, how many hours she has to spend additionally in order to increase from 90 to 100?
Well, if you're speaking economics, like 100's pretty much unreachable.
Unreachable.
Yep.
We don't do 100 if you say 99%.
It's almost like an
Point
infinite.
is the incremental percentage is the same from 70 to 80, from 80 to 90, from 90 to 100, right? The example I gave you is incremental amount is the same. But what we want to understand is the difference on your effort to achieve the same incremental amount. Between 70 to 80, between 80 to 90, increase from 90 to 99. Do you think it's going to get harder or easier? every time you want to increase another 10%.
It's gonna get hard.
Who think it's gonna be easier?
Make it easier to increase it.
Yeah, the question is, when you increase from 70, 80 to 80, okay? You're gonna spend some, you're gonna spend some time and effort. When you increase from 80 to 90, you're gonna spend some time and effort. When you increase from 90 to 99, again. So which increase got to make you work more? Which increase actually is harder to achieve? So what's happening as you want to increase your grade higher and higher? You got to work harder and harder or easier?
Harder and harder.
Did you guys follow my train of thoughts? You don't? You'll shake your head.
I was just confused.
What you confused? Then ask question.
No, before, I'm good now.
You good?
You said, did you follow my train of thought? I said, no, I wasn't, but I get it.
You get it? Okay. So I think it's obvious, it gets harder every time you want to increase another 10%, right? It should not get easier, okay? And you may find it, okay, I can do from 70 to 80, but from the 80 to 90, it's gonna be a little bit challenging. But you think, okay, if I spend this much of time, I may be able to do it. But from 90 to 99, it's going to be hard, right? So every time you increase another 10%, you got to work harder. And how does that translate into time and effort, which in economics would be cost?
The more and more you try to add something, the more and more you have to consider other things, such as how much you're spending, what other things you have to do, how many resources that you're using.
So what kind of economic concept we can use here? Marginal cost. Okay? So if I'm going to ask you to compare the marginal cost for you to achieve 10% from 70 to 80, with the marginal cost from 80 to 90 and the marginal cost from 90 to 99. And what's happening to those marginal costs? This gets bigger or gets smaller?
Gets bigger.
Gets bigger, right?
Don't your benefits also get bigger?
That's a good question. Does marginal benefit get bigger? From 70 to 80, you get 10 more points. From 80 to 90, you also got 10 more points. From 90 to 99, almost 10 more points, right? So the increase of your points is the same. If we just look at the points as your benefit, then the marginal benefits are the same, right? But what happened to the marginal cost? Increases. Okay. So now, let's get back to what we talk about. Why the average grade of the class is always around 70-80%. Because you guys never thought about this, but you're already, in my eyes, economists, you're already, calculating this marginal benefit and the marginal cost unconsciously. Every time you want to increase your grade high, your marginal cost gets higher and higher. And I get to the point where the marginal cost actually is greater than the marginal benefit. That's why for majority of people, they stop at the middle, because that's where the marginal cost is equal to the marginal benefit. And that's the reason. So it's not because the intelligence level vary that much from individual to individual. The reason is the higher the grade you want to get, the higher marginal cost is going to be to you. And you are making an economic decision by not spending that much hour on an exam. But this is not to say you should not spend a lot of time to get a top number. Okay. So what I want to show you is the application of marginal cost and marginal benefit in your daily life. Everything can use marginal benefit, marginal cost, and standard. Okay. All right, so in chapter 1, we have a few more other concepts. So you probably haven't read chapter 1, right? Okay, I'm going to ask you a few more things. In chapter 1, it mentioned about efficient market. Can anyone tell me what is meaning of efficient market? I'm not going to write down the definition. You have definition in the book. So what's the meaning of efficient market? So now look at this.
It was saying that opportunities, to make large profits, or just stuff where you can like capitalize on. Very few of them exist because everybody's searching for them at the same time.
So efficient market is a market where the profit opportunity becomes exhausted right away. So it tells us that no firm can sustain a positive profit margin for a very long period of time. Okay. And then what kind of market you think are close to that? Efficient market. It requires a lot of conditions for the market to be like that, to be efficient, which means no profit can be sustained. You think of any market.
Stock market.
Stock market. Stock market is a very complicated one. I like to stay away from that. It's very complicated. Just think about goods market. Did you guys get a book from the bookstore or from the Amazon?
Bookstore.
Yeah, mine from Amazon.
Okay, so what do we observe in Amazon or eBay when you buy the used book?
It don't cost as much.
Okay, it's cheaper. And what else?
You don't get the access code if you read it.
Okay, you don't get it, so you have to buy it separately. Good. What else? In terms of price, what do you observe? What else? I mean, one thing is cheaper. What else?
There's different prices.
There's different. What's the range of those differences?
Depends on the quality of the
like-
book.
Anywhere between like 80 to 100 and something.
80 to 100. Okay. And they describe the book condition, right? Okay. And which one do you guys buy?
The one that costs the least and also looks the best.
If for the same book with the same condition, of course, you're going to go with the lowest price. You're going to buy the lowest price, right? Okay. For the same condition, do you see much of the difference on the price?
No.
No, right?
I don't know, when someone's crazy.
Exactly. Okay. Why? Because if they charge a little higher price, you don't want to buy it from it, right? If they can buy it from a cheaper price, why not? Okay. So I'm using this example in this example, actually it's highly competitive. If you charge, not say a penny more, if you charge $1 more, and you will lose your customer. If somebody charging you $19, the same condition, and you charge $20, and you're not gonna sell your book. It's going to, somebody else gonna buy it for $19. So this is a market where it's close to what we talk about the efficient market. You really cannot sustain or make a huge profit on this, because if you're going to make a huge profit, somebody else can see it and it's going to do the same thing that the market likes. Okay, so in order for the market to be efficient, there are several things that has to be met, several conditions. Okay, so first one has to be perfect competitive. Okay. So here we talk about efficient market. You do have to have many suppliers, many providers, and selling this product. If you have very few providers, then that cannot be competitive, and that will not result in a efficient market. Second one. Perfect information. What do we mean by perfect information? Buyer and seller have the same amount of information on this product. Your counter example. Used car transaction. You go to a dealership. You want to buy a used car. That is example when the information you have is different from the information the dealer has. The dealers know exactly how good this used car, but you don't. Okay? Whenever that happens, the market cannot be efficient. Okay? So perfect information, that means that both buyers and sellers have the same amount of information. That's very important. Give you another example here. You all have looked for jobs, right? Okay, are you guys working like part-time, right? If you have not looked for job, you will in the future. In the job market, you're a labor supplier. You sell your labor, you provide your labor, right? Okay, and then the employer hire you, they are labor demanders. There is asymmetric information there. Why? You know how productive you are. You know whether you are a good worker or not. You know how intelligent you are, but do those employers know that information? Again, labor market, it does not have perfect information. So when you do not have the perfect information, again, the market cannot be efficient. Okay. We're going to talk later, why those conditions, if those conditions fail, an efficient market will fail. We'll talk about it later. Okay, here I just want to introduce you the things that are necessary. Okay. And the third one, okay, is it cannot have externality. It cannot have externality. No externality. Externality means that your action impose the cost on others or provide the benefit to others. For example, if you are a reckless driver, your action of reckless driving impose the danger on everybody else on the driveway, right? On the highway. So if you are driving recklessly, and that has negative externality. Okay? If you produce a product that pollutes air or drinking water, that production has negative externality. Okay? So if we want the market to be efficient, that cannot exist. We cannot have negative externality. Okay. So those are the things that are required for market to be efficient. So when those things are met, then it's more likely for you to have a market where the profit can be exhausted right away. Any question here? Okay, so this is the one concept here, efficient market. And then the book talks about, chapter 1 talk about scope of economics, okay? Economics can be divided into several categories, okay? And one category is a micro scope of microeconomics. And then we have macroeconomics. Okay. So what is the difference? What are microeconomic studies?
Micro's smaller, like smaller businesses, and macro's like the broad, like global economics.
That's right. So for the micro, it studies individuals' decision and behavior, okay, or industries or firms' decision or behavior. And the macroeconomic study at aggregate level, okay? So instead of, studying the individual's wage rate, they talk about, overall wage rate, national wage rate. Instead of talking about one single firm's output, they talk about national output, national unemployment, okay? But, for the microeconomics, you can study, I want to study the unemployment rate in Pembroke. I want to study the unemployment rate in Robeson County, okay? Those kind of study considered as micro, the first one, okay? So whenever we deal with at the national level, at the aggregate level, then that is belong to macroeconomics. And there are also some other disciplines within economics, like the behavioral economics, industrial organization, public economics, industrial economic thought, and health economics. There's many fields, okay? And one of my specialized fields is called the game theory. It's microeconomic theory. So game theory basically is mathematical methodology that adopted by economists, okay? And it's basically mathematical modeling, to use modeling to explain the behavior of individuals and firms of industry, and to explain the interaction among individuals and firms of industry, okay? All right, so that's the scope of economics. And then methodology of economics, and we have several methodology here. And one is called the theoretical economics. Okay, theoretical economics is basically we just use mathematical modeling. Okay, theoretical modeling. We do not use data. You don't have to go out collect data to do the analysis. You just build a mathematical model, and then you solve the model mathematically and use the result to explain what you are trying to study. Okay, so that is theoretical economics. Then we have empirical economics, and that has to depend on data. Okay, so you have to use data to, for example, you want to know the education level, how the education level influence the retention rate of fresh graduate first job. Okay, so you in Robeson County, if you want to study that, you got to go out to collect the data. Okay, send out the questionnaires and talk to some people who have those access of data and get those and use statistical software to analyze it. So that's called empirical economics. Okay, so it's very different from theoretical economics, because theoretical economics use just pure mathematical modeling, no data required. Okay, and then recently there's a new methodology that became very popular. Actually, something that I'm doing. It's called experimental economics. Okay, what is experimental economics? We design experiments. For example, last couple of years, and I have done a couple experiments in the computer lab in this floor. I design an experiment on computer, then I recruit participants, mostly students. And you participate, and then you answer the question, I designed in that experiment, and then you get paid for participating. Okay, so if I do it again, I'll let you guys know. I think some of you have participated, right? Okay. Yeah, and this is relatively a new methodology. The reason I and a lot of economists and me, really like this experimental economics is this. The theoretical economics are the fundamentals. Okay. However, in the last 10 years, it shows its own limitation. It failed to predict a lot of crises. It failed to predict the behavior we see in the real world. So economists start questioning those assumptions we made in those theories. So how do we learn? how do we learn from the people who really the ones that form this market? We start using experiment, because by doing the experiment, we observe what the market is doing. We observe what you guys are doing. Some of the behavior we observe from experiment very shocking, or very, very shocking. Okay, and actually it's very hard to explain by the theory. Okay, it's very hard to explain. I can give you an example. It's an experimental economic done by a very famous economist. Okay. So the experiment is this. If you're the participant, I tell you, okay, I give you $20. Okay? For you to split this $20 with somebody that you do not know. So you're entering into the computer lab, and on the screen, you say, okay, today, by being in this experiment, I'm giving you this $20 to play with. And you can share this $20 with somebody that you do not know out there. Okay, in two different ways. Okay. The first way, you can split half and half. You keep $10. You give that stranger $10. Okay. If you choose that way, at the end of that day, you take home $10. Okay. Or the second way is you keep 80%, which is $60. And you give 20% to that stranger. So you're just given these two options on the computer screen. Okay, you have option one to split half and half with a stranger. You do not know who is that. And then the second option is you keep 80% and you give 20% to that stranger. You pick your option, then experiment is finished. Then I can see the choice you did. You come over and I give you what you gain. It's that simple. It's very, very simple, right? So can you guess what most people did?
They said 20.
Can you guess what most people
They split it down the middle.
80-20, she said. You said what?
Half and half.
70% of people choose half and half. Does it make sense? Not at all. One of the economic assumptions that people are self-interested. People trying to maximize their own payoff, their own utilities. But this experiment says exactly opposite thing. You're sharing this money with a stranger you don't even know. And also nobody will know how did you do in this experiment because each person chose their on their screen, so nobody will know. So you have no other concern. But most of people choose $10 split. So by doing this kind of experiment, economists start learning something that economics theory fail to predict. Okay. That's why that's become very popular methodology. That's why I'm start using this to understand the motivation. So for example, in this simple experiment, what is the motivation behind people? Okay, why they choose this 10-10 split? Okay, can we twist the game a little bit and see a different result? Later on, a lot of other economists, twist, change slightly, change this game, experiment slightly. They all get similar result. 70% of people choose to split half, choose to be, altruistic instead of selfish. So that's the power of experiments. Theory never give us that kind of power and shocking result. Okay, so that's the three methodology introduced: theoretical, empirical, and experimental. Okay. I always go so fast. in this class. Alright, so there's a couple of caution and pitfalls, I want to mention to you. Then I will stop, okay? And after the day, I want you to read chapter 1 word by word, okay? Because I basically do not have time to cover everything, But, the rest of stuff very straightforward. You should be able to understand by reading the book. So please read. And one of the pitfall is called post hoc fallacy. Post hoc fallacy. Okay? Post hoc fallacy says this. Just because A happens before event B, A does not mean A causes B. Just because event A happens before event B does not mean that event A causes event B. Okay? Let's hear this statement here. Whenever Democratic controls the Congress, expenses on social programs increases. Whenever Republicans gain control of the Congress, spending on defense increases. Are you listening to me? Because of that, thus we know what the next party will do. Whenever Democratic controls the Congress, expense on social programs increases. Whenever Republicans gain control of the Congress, spending on defense increases. Thus, we know what the next party will do. So this statement here is false. Okay, and what's wrong is what we call post hoc fallacy. Even though event A happens before the event B, but it does not mean the event A will definitely cause event B. Okay. There's several exercise on post hoc fallacy on homework, and I want you to work on that. Okay, so right now when I tell you, probably do not have time to digest it when you read the book. And one more fallacy. It's called the fallacy of composition. Fallacy of composition. It means that what is true in part may not be true for whole. Okay? Let's hear this statement. I live in a house in Mississippi River for many years and have never seen a flood. I've been living in a house in Mississippi River for many years and have never seen a flood. Therefore, there's no reason to buy flood insurance for me. This is fallacy of composition. What is true in part, yes, you have not seen it, does not mean it will not happen. So what's true in part may not be necessarily true for whole. Okay, so that's the two fallacies that we often make that kind of mistake when we speak. We often hear that kind of speak when we hear the news or comments. So I want you to really digest those fallacies and try not to make mistakes with it. Right? Okay, so the homework for you is read the books thoroughly. There's few concepts I cannot really cover, and I just want to spend another class on chapter 1. I want you to read everything and do the homework. And we start chapter